Hello, hello. I love coming on to a waiting audience. Thank you for that. Welcome to Living Light Dark to Dawn Rock Solid, the place where you come to expand your thinking and elevate your way of being. My name is Dawn Shale, certified life coach and soul healer. How are you doing this evening? It is November 16th. Welcome to November 16th, like the middle of this month. There's like literally a month and a half left of this year. It's going to be Christmas soon. I mean, this is, and Thanksgiving next week. Just really wild. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing well. Say hello to you guys. Kathy, David, Kerry. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Scooter Bean should be showing up in just a minute, hopefully. Mr. Dave, aka Scooter Bean. He's usually here. Tonight, I'm excited. I'm excited for tonight. I'm so excited. It's going to be good. So do subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you doing that. And if you enjoy this episode or any of the others, do feel free to share. I appreciate you sharing and spreading the word and letting people know who I am. So again, I don't know what number episode this is in YouTube, but of course, as you know, I came over from Podbean and migrated over from Podbean. I was on Podbean for 2.5 years. And so this is still kind of new here on YouTube. I'm just getting some stuff here together, setting some things up a little bit because I have talking points. And the title of tonight's podcast is Healthy Love. I'm so excited. One of my favorite subjects. I live for this subject, healthy love. I mean, it's all about heart-centered living. And you know me when it comes to heart-centered living. For anybody that's followed me listened to me for any extended period of time, it's all about heart-centered, alignment with yourself and self-love and all that good stuff. So I do hope everybody's doing well. A couple of quick announcements. Want to shout out to Margie Pargy. I can't wait to see her on Saturday. So everybody knows what I'm doing on Saturday, and Margie too. So I can't wait to see my girl. And so shout out to her. She is a loyal listener. She's a Jersey girl. And also Ms. Bet. Ms. Bet is a Wisconsinite. She takes the podcast into the shower. And by the way, I had a really good shopping experience today, Ms. Bet. We have this, in some inside jokes now because Thursdays is grocery shopping day. It has been for 20 years. Like, that's not a joke. Like, it's been 20 years that I've been grocery shopping on Thursdays. It's just works. It's just, I can be very, spur of the moment and spontaneous. But when it comes to certain things, I have routines that I like to keep in place. And grocery shopping is one of them, because then you're set for the week, and Friday's Friday, and you don't have to worry about it for the weekend. And that's how I've always done it. I finally got this piece of paper to sit still. So healthy love. One other quick announcement. David Medansky, his recent book, his book that's coming out soon, his sequel to Breaking the Chains of Dieting, Stop Dieting, Start Thinning, is Jaded Health. It's his television program that's going to be airing in January, which I was an honored guest. And not only is he doing 2 seasons, he signed up for 2 seasons. He's looking into a 3rd season for this show. And a very dear friend of mine might be one of his guests. So I'm very excited about this. I cannot wait for this thing to air, as he cannot either. But I just spoke with him this morning. And that was the latest update, that he is looking into a 3rd season. So that's very exciting. Can you hear me all okay? Can you all hear me okay? Let me know if you cannot. You probably would have said something by now if you couldn't. So healthy love. Why am I talking about this? I mean, it's always a hot topic. It's a hot topic because people want love. Some people are always trying to get love. Some people are trying to figure out love. Thank you for telling me yes. I appreciate it. And, it's all about love, but it's all about the love of who we are. And if we don't have love for ourselves and we're not grounded in that, it's difficult to really be in a healthy place of love with anything in our life. And I'm not just talking about romantic stuff. I don't know if I'm going to touch on that too much. I might mention marriage a lot, or not a lot, but I'm a bit, because there are a lot of marriages that are just settling. And so before I get into this in the introduction and lay the foundation, here's some talking points. And the talking points are that it's the foundation to everything. I'm actually going to mention the Golden Bachelor. If you've heard about this, I don't think any of you here are real television watchers, but the Golden Bachelor, Friends, the sitcom, family pathology, religion called it sin, Adrenalin versus integration. This one just popped up today. This went off like a bomb, like an absolute bomb. This adrenaline versus integration. And there's a reason why it went off like a bomb. Because I'm always thinking about things. I'm always considering things. I'm always, when I'm talking with people or clients and just observing whatever's going on, social media, I think about and I consider and I look at all the angles and all the moving parts to what is taking place, what people are expressing, what they're talking about, what's on their heart, what they're wanting, what they're not liking. And I think into all of this and I get realizations, that we realize the third eye, in our heart, knowing our heart center. Trades and transactions. That's a good one too. That's a real good one. There's Scooter Bean. Hey, Mr. Dave, how you doing? He's waving. All right, let's get started. So healthy love. So I already started kind of getting into this a little bit. That's why. So I'm talking about this because it's always a hot topic. People want love. They want to give love. They want to receive love. A lot of people are trying to get love, and love is more. Love is who you are. First of all, love is the core of who you are at a cellular level, gut level. You're the soul of who you are is already love. There's just been things, mindsets, beliefs, conditionings, pathologies that have stood in the way of you fully living this to the utmost bliss. And I think Tuesday I talked about truth, freedom, and bliss. And so this isn't really a continuation, but it all works together. And I did not plan this, but I just thought, and since this morning, I just thought this morning. And since I've been doing this podcasting and talking for 2.5 years, I sometimes when I was in Podbean, I literally wouldn't know what I was talking about until an hour before I went live, and I'd throw something together real quick and I just get on and start talking, and then we would just start flowing. This is a little bit of a different dynamic. It's a different platform. It's visual. It's a totally different thing. So I have to be a little more prepared. But I did get up this morning and I didn't have a topic, and I thought about it. And within a few hours, it was actually, late morning, I would say, okay, because I had a little chat with someone, and it's like, this is what I want to talk about, healthy love. And I want to get into the nuts and bolts of this. And a lot of people that might be listening have left religion. There's people that are deconstructing. There are people that are in stale, stuck, or stagnant marriages. There are people that are just having, these cycles and patterns with someone that they love, or maybe there's a falling out with a son, a daughter, a family member, or a best friend. And so love is the glue to all of this. Love is what makes the world go round. So it is the glue to everything. And it's not just with people, it's with every area of your life. It's with your profession, it's with business, it's with your career. And if you don't have, or if you're lacking, a sufficient connection with love, it's going to be difficult, and it makes it challenging to go to work and enjoy it, to do anything, to have a sense of any joy or peace about anything in life. So in social media this week, I made some posts. The first post I made Monday, I don't remember exactly what that one was, but I posted a very long vlog on Tuesday about control manipulation, and how it's the opposite of love, that it's very fear-based. And then today I made a post about codependency and attachment. I'm pretty sure it was about attachment. I'm going to just take a look. So glorified attachment, I said, the meme set goes like this: a constant need to be around others only of like vibration and frequency to stay up, or, to feel good, is just glorified attachment. So that was today's. Yesterday's was awesome too. People only rationally communicate according to the level of emotional maturity and self-awareness they contain. Never spend your energy in vain. So everything comes from the self. Everything stems from and is founded in who we are. And so who we are and how we feel about ourselves largely creates the world around us. And this is nothing new. A lot of you have heard this. A lot of people know this. But this is where, and the talking points aren't necessarily always in order. I might jump around. I will jump around a little bit. That's where the adrenaline versus versus integration comes in. Because when you first realize something and you get this aha moment, there's an adrenaline that sort of happens with this. There's an excitement. There's this, oh wow, I got it. It's like, no, you just got the revelation. And when you just get the revelation of something, there is an adrenaline rush. There's a high. There's like, oh my God, isn't that awesome? And then as the weeks and maybe months go by, perhaps you didn't do much with that revelation, as in feeling into going deeper into it. And then you might say to yourself, but I know this. I've heard this. I realize this. Why am I not living this? Why am I having a hard time with this? And it's because it hasn't been integrated. It was just like you got off on the adrenaline rush, and now here you are, and you're repeating the same things over and over again. But to go back a little bit, to just continue to lay the foundation, I'm mentioning Friends, this Friends sitcom and the Golden Bachelor fantasy television show for a reason. And it has to do with the conditioning, the codependent conditioning, and the societal conditioning, the codependent culture and the conditioned society that we've been all detoxing and detaching from. And attachment is very much, connected, pardon the pun, to all of this. So a really good example of some of this conditioning is media, television, entertainment, and music. And I'm not a prude. Someone actually posted something yesterday about who they prefer to listen to versus, the religious teachings. And I made a comment, and a few people appreciated it. And it turned into a little bit of a, commenting back and forth. And, we largely have everything that we need if we just go inward and ask and connect, in the stillness and the quiet with source and all of this. So, but in that exchange, I had mentioned that it's not, because this post was about religion, and this person made a post about how they would rather listen to a couple of these other sources instead of the religious part. And this person commented, and I only started actually saying this a few weeks ago. I've known this, but religion is just a symptom. Religion is just a symptom of the codependent culture, the codependent society, the conditioned system. It's a symptom of it. And how is it a symptom? Well, because I say a lot. We're born, we're raised by parents, depending on how conscious they are, depending on how nurturing they are, depending on how the loving marriage that they have, how they respect one another. The child's going to demonstrate what they're witnessing. And, there's usually media, there's beliefs, there's a religion that you're given. There's a meme that goes around about this, but you're given a religion, a social security number, a name. You're told what to do. You're told where to go. And it's like, basically we're treated like robots when we're born. And that's no shame or judgment towards anybody. It's just the repeated patterns of just being human, and the cyclical experience of this codependency in this conditioned society. So among all of this, we have we have entertainment. Most people have a television in their house. Most people like music. I've only been around certain people that don't care about music. That was a pretty horrible experience. I'm a huge music buff, so music is very, very important to me. But certain kinds of music, there's a lot of negative music out there, which is aligned with what I'm saying here. And so recently, we know that Matthew Perry, most of us know, and most of us are aware of the sitcom Friends that was on for 10 years. I mean, it was hilarious. It was funny, but there's an issue with this. And so, well, how can you pick apart a sitcom? And I'm not picking apart a sitcom. I'm talking about the training and the dynamics that took place on this sitcom. And so, Matthew Perry recently passed away, and a few weeks ago. It's absolutely everywhere, all over social media still. It's everywhere. It's every time you go you open up Instagram, and if you go in the search bar, all these videos are coming up, and it's either Taylor Swift or Friends, Matthew Perry, Lisa Kudrow, Jennifer Aniston, the cast of Friends, Matthew Perry's interviews that he did, his book that he wrote, and something about his passing and rest in peace and all this stuff. It's just, it's everywhere. And then for some reason on my phone, there's a Google news feed that is just showing up, and if I scroll the wrong way, it keeps showing up. So every single day since he's passed away, it's friends all day long, friends all day long. And look, I understand it was a funny show, and I understand that people are sad that he passed away, but here's the thing, it was a fantasy. You know, the show wasn't real. The thing, however, about this show is, if you've noticed, if you, I'm sure all of you here watched it at one point or another, and anybody listening watched the show at one point or another, and it was absolutely hilarious. But if you think about it, how absolutely chaotic it was, and the overblown extreme reactions constantly, Chandler, you know, Monica, you know, everybody just constantly in this anxious state, in this super extreme emotional state. It was never, you know, and it wasn't a drama show. It was a sitcom, situation comedy. So it was meant to be funny. And it was meant to be, the whole intention of this was to be bombastic, if I could use that word, to be, you know, ostentatious in its presentation. But the thing is you watch something like this on the regular, and it eventually gets into your psyche, and it makes, you know, they made humor out of a lot of serious topics in life, such as, you know, getting married, having sex, all different, you name it. There were a lot of just life issues that they made fun of, and that they turned into humor, which for the one who's for the viewer that's watching, it is translated as, if you're not really aware and you're not conscious and you're watching this on a regular basis, it almost becomes like people have patterned their life out of what they're hearing and what they're watching. And so if you only have media, if you only have these sorts of television shows, if you're not conscious and you're not aware of, I got to be careful what I take in, garbage out. And I'm not saying that Friends was garbage. It's just a statement that what we have put into our minds and our hearts and our souls is what we're going to live out. Hence, when we're children, we're paying attention to what our parents did, and we ended up, you know, modeling what they did more than what they told us. In my case, it was both. You know, in my case, it was, you know, my parents were highly dysfunctional and highly, you know, not conscious whatsoever. I mean, you know, my mother was they called each other names on a regular basis. And I knew inherently something isn't right about this. This just is not, what is going on here? And I just knew it in an energetic way. As a child empath, I knew that something was very off here. But so it's an example of, you know, every single episode has something that has flown off the handle. Extreme emotion, extreme reaction, anxiety, worry, all these things are just interwoven within this show. And then there would be some serious moments. And then here's the killer to this. Here's the kicker to this. Whenever there were serious moments, like say when Monica and Chandler were going to get married, everything was humorous around this. Everything was a joke. It was just a constant joke. Nothing was serious. And I understand I keep saying this, it is a situation comedy, but nothing was ever serious. And so when it was time to be vulnerable and time to maybe express real love and time to do that, even that was like a mockery. I saw the episode of when they got married. That whole thing was a disaster. Like Joey performed the wedding, and the whole entire thing was just, there was nothing ever brought into balance that demonstrated any sort of healthy love. So you're watching this for years on end. You're watching this and you're watching, right? And then, well, why am I having a hard time finding a boyfriend or a girlfriend? I really want to get married. Why am I having a hard time finding a wife or finding a husband? Why am I having a difficult time with all of this? And so then we have now, since Matthew Perry's passing, all the comments on all of these posts, because I'm reading it, I'm looking at it on purpose to see how people are feeling. I mean, people are so incredibly sad and bawling their eyes out, and it's going too deep. I feel like it's going deeper than it should, like out of context. You didn't know this person. You didn't know him personally. He wasn't a family member. You never met him. He played a very hilarious character on this sitcom, And there's just something about that show. And it really, like, people say, well, it just depicted reality. And that's a problem, because it didn't depict reality. Because if that's the kind of reality that we're all living, it's no wonder why everybody's divorced and nobody can find this, that, or the other. And everybody's families are dysfunctional and everything's chaotic. And there's maybe, like, if, and I don't have the stats, but if you look at, like, just the United States, like, let's just say the United States. And if we took a poll, I wonder if somebody took a poll of really super healthy marriages and families as opposed to estranged, fallouts in families, divorce. I'm guessing that, I don't know if it's 50-50, but I'm pretty confident in saying that I would say that the number for the fallout, the divorce, the estranged situations is way higher than what's really healthy, solid, and together. How do you know this? You just know by, just, an intuitive way of thinking, by critical thinking, and go through your own news feed, go through social media, look all over, look at TikTok, look at how people are behaving, look at what people are doing. Look at the rates of divorce and different things. I mean, it's kind of, you put, connect the dots. And so I'm just astounded by people that are just so messed up over his passing. And it was sad, and it was a time of life, but it, what am I trying to say? I mean, it's just, what I'm saying is that this sort of dynamic, I believe, seeped into the subconscious of human beings. And it really seeped into the psyche of, well, this is how it is that nobody has any direction. Nobody knows what they want to be when they grow up. And, it's normal to be broke. It's normal not to be able to pay your rent. It's normal to have somebody else's baby and then move in with this guy and just have this baby. And he's not your husband. We're going to share an apartment. I'm going to raise this child. And this guy isn't the father. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, everything is so completely out of order. It's just so out of order. And it's almost like some people really actually do pattern or fashion their life, mold their life, create their life out of what they've witnessed from things like this. Where the Golden Bachelor is concerned, that maybe I'll get to that in a minute. But so the family pathology, let me speak to that for a minute. Family pathology is what you learned about love from your parents, what you learned about, if you had siblings and how you got along or didn't get along with your siblings, and depending on how many siblings you had. And then there's always geographical location. There's always ethnicity. There's a lot of different cultures of how, different ethnicities, conduct their life. And all these things play a part into how you feel what love is, how you think love is supposed to be. And so mentioning this again, where there was ever a moment like a milestone or, a moment in life, like such as marriage or having a child, there was just constant humor surrounding this. And I think in a lot of ways, people don't know, and I'm speaking very generally in a collective, people don't know how to express love in a way of how much they really care about someone. They don't know how to say, I really care about you. I really, even if it's in the family, I've seen over the course of a lot of years, I've been connected to a lot of families because I didn't have the greatest family. So I always got connected to either friends' families or boyfriends' families and just whatever. And, I've just seen where there wasn't a lot of I love you in the family. And a lot of people will say, like, love you instead of I love you. Like, there's something about saying I love you. I love you. And people have a hard time saying I love you. So, love you. I love you. And it doesn't have to be romantic. And if I say I love you, it doesn't mean I am head over heels in love with you. There's different love. There's family love. There's romantic love. There's just I love you. Like one of my best friends and myself, we always say I love you before we hang up the phone. Oh, we always do that. And I think that people have a hard time with this, with what this love really is. Like what really is it? And how does love show up for you? How do you relate with love? How do you relate with the love of yourself? Do you love yourself? Do you feel like you really respect yourself? Do you feel like you really know who you are? Do you feel like you're living your best life? Do you feel like you're doing what you've always wanted to do? Do you feel, at peace with your life? Or do you feel like there's always something lacking, or something you're trying to get, or something you're trying to go after? I'm talking about love, not success and work and money. I'm talking specifically about love. Although love does have everything to do with what you do for a living, and it is somewhat connected to how you make money. Because if you hate what you do, but that's a whole other thing. So I just think that, with people deconstructing and detaching from a codependent system, and some people don't even know that they have attachments. Some people don't even know that they're attached to anything. And I've been doing this a very long time. I mean, so long. That's not, I mean, you use your own judgment. You use your own discernment when you listen to me talk. That I'm surprised when I see somebody attached to something or whatever it is, or someone, that I say, do they really not see that they're attached to this? And, I can see it and I understand it, but like I said, I started a healing journey 30 years ago, and I understand how this all works. It's healthy love isn't attached. Healthy love, first and foremost, does not get obsessed or attached with anybody, not even your dog or your cat. I mean, we get attached to animals. Here's the thing with that. People tend to get attached to their pets so much. And I've seen people post a lot that they love animals more than people. They love their dog more than people. They love their cat more than people, because dogs and cats don't give me a hard time. Dogs and cats don't talk back. Well, what is that demonstrating? What is that spelling out about who you are? How you approach relationships is, do you know how to have a hard conversation? Do you know how to have a conversation about different things without arguing? Do you know how to do this? And so, a lot of people don't even like other people. They don't want to be around other people. And it's disconcerting, because we're here for unity. We're here to be connected to each other. We're here to help each other, to lift each other up, to edify, to support each other. How can we do this if we don't love ourselves? How are we going to really support people? And I just want to take a minute to say, I love you all. We all love you. Oh, I love you too, David. I love you too, David. I love Kathy and Scooter Bean and Kerry. And is there anybody else I'm missing? I don't think so. I got to get up close now to read the screen with the readers. So, how you feel about your own self, about love in your own experience, is what you're creating on the outside and what you're creating around. I love you too, dear. I love you too, Kathy. She's another one. We say this to each other regularly. So attachment. Oh, 2008, when I was engaged and we broke up, and it was horrible. And I wasn't attached to this guy. Like, the relationship was over, but in here, I had a really hard time healing from this breakup. And it wasn't, now looking back, when I was in it, I couldn't make freaking sense of this. Looking back now, I mean, of course I have understanding as to why that was. A lot of it was the fantasy romance stuff. And I'm like in love with love. Some people are in love with love. You can be in love with love, and in being in love with love, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it's when you're being in love with love, and you're more in love with love than you actually are with the character of the person. And it could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be anybody. So you can fill in the blanks here. When you're more in love with love, or you're more in love with the idea of who someone is versus the character that they are actually bringing to the table. I've been talking to women specifically about this for years, that what did you actually love? And I know someone else that does this. And she actually wrote something about it. And it's the first time she's done this because she's been working with women for a very long time about healthy love and conscious love. Conscious love is healthy love. Well, conscious, what's conscious? And they're like interchangeable. They're one and the same. Healthy love, conscious love is you're self-aware. You know who you are. You love yourself. It's conscious. And it means you're aware of your behavior, you're aware of your actions, you're aware of how you communicate, you're aware of how you say things. It's awareness all the way around. And so, I've had friends that have had issues with, men and either trying to find a man or not being able to keep it going with this particular man. But I got a crash course in this myself with this broken relationship that I told you about. And after a while, I had people say to me, someone said to me early on when I told them the first weird thing that happened, the first big red flag that happened, this was before social media. We just had email, and I wrote my male friend this, and he wrote back and he said, "Dump him, Dawn. Dump this guy. Run like hell from this guy." He saw it. He was a little older than me, and he was divorced, and he had 3 grown children, and he was raising. And he said, "Get rid of it. Run like hell." Well, why didn't I run like? Because I loved him. I liked him. I wasn't in love with him yet. I really liked him, and I was attracted to him. I was like, okay. So I knew what it's like, and he was so romantic. He brought me flowers every time he came to my house. He wined and dined me. We went to the finest restaurants in New York City. We went to New York City a lot. He lived in Connecticut. I lived here, and we would do the every other weekend. He'd come down here for the weekend. I'd go up there for the weekend to Connecticut. And it was just like this hot and heavy romance. And it really wasn't day to day. I didn't see him after work. He didn't see me after work. It was just weekend stuff. It was almost like a fling of an engagement. We were engaged to be married. He proposed to me in St. John in the Virgin Islands, which was like this glorious fantastical experience. And there's nothing wrong with, I love romance. And sometimes people love romance more than they love themselves, because it's the fantasy of it. And that's why I'm going to talk about this Golden Bachelor thing that couldn't be any more ridiculous. It's absurd. When the Bachelor, it's the very first episode of when the Bachelor, the commercial came out, I'm like, what's that? The Bachelor? Oh, so this single good looking guy, whatever, they're brought to the mansion, and he's going to date 30 women at once. I don't have my laugh track. 30 women. I'm like, what in the world is this? I have been, as much as I've been entangled in codependent attachment myself, I have still always been a very grounded, substance-oriented woman. And I knew that this, like, what in the heck is this? So this thing with this ex of mine, he knew how to spin the romance. He could just, he drove this hot sports car, and he would open the door. We would go to Home Depot to pick something up, and he'd open the door, and we'd come out of Home Depot. He never let me open that car door. He had chivalry down pat. He never let me open that car door. He had all the things, and I appreciate the chivalrous things. I don't believe chivalry's dead. I appreciate a gentleman. I appreciate the chair being pulled out and all that stuff. I really do. But that, like, he worked it. He really worked this, and I was a sucker for it. And because I was a sucker, I was blinded by the romance, that I couldn't really see the other red flags. I didn't want to see the red flags. I turned them away because I liked all this romance. I had never been with a guy who was romantic like this. And so that's what the issue was for me. And so when we broke up, it was like the beginning of December 2007. 2007, I think. Yes, the beginning of December 2007. Made a trip to Sweden, didn't want to go for Christmas. It was awful. My family lives there, and they bought me a ticket, and I really didn't want to go away. But so it was hard. It was gut-wrenching. And I would have conversations with people, and this guy that warned me from the beginning, and there were so many really off the wall things that he did. And I tried to get him to see. I tried to get him to understand. And then I think I told a story once. We were in New York City because we went to the city a lot. We loved Mulberry Street. We loved Little Italy. We loved walking around Rockefeller Center. We loved doing all these things. And it was great. And we went into St. Patrick's Cathedral. I think it was around Christmas time. And I think it was our first Christmas together. And this was right after we got engaged. And I had the diamond, beautiful carat ring that was like this beautiful, like clarity, the whole thing. And he just cried on my lap. We're sitting there in St. Patrick's Cathedral, and he just bent. His head was on my lap, and he was bawling his eyes out. And he's just like, "I'm so sorry. I don't know how to fix this." And I remember sitting there, feeling like he's crying, and I felt this ickiness come over me. I'm telling you a real life story here. This is I teach and I talk from real life experience and the stuff that I had to realize bone deep to get through this. There was an icky feeling that came over me, like this just isn't healthy. Did I listen to that icky feeling? Absolutely not. I thought, well, he's going to get it. He's going to heal from this. It wasn't my job to help him. It wasn't my job to help him heal. He needed therapy. He needed help that he was going to get on his own, because it's never a woman's job to help the man heal, and vice versa. It's never the man's job. If a woman is so out of alignment and wounded and dealing with a lot of trauma that she keeps taking out on you, it's not your job to heal her, ever. And if a man keeps taking his shit out on a woman, it's not your job to help him heal. Because being disrespected, male, female, on either side, you don't then become the healer to this person that has disrespected you and dishonored you. Then you have a deeper problem. You have a deeper issue going on within yourself that has anything to do with this individual. And in that moment, when he was bawling his eyes out on my lap, instead of seeing that as a massive, like, let this guy go, you need to take a break from this and let him go figure stuff out, I continued on in a relationship. I continued on in this relationship until I was finally dumped. That's what happened. And every time we'd break up, and it was a cycle. It was a cycle every 3 to 4 weeks. Or, you know what? I'm sorry, 4 to 6 weeks. It was about every 4 to 6 weeks, there would be this cycle, this blowout, this incident. And I'd be in Connecticut. I'd pack my bag and leave early, and I'd drive home, and I wouldn't answer the phone and all these things. And then he would, he would call, and I wouldn't answer the phone, or then he'd send me an email, please pick up the phone, and this kind of stuff. And this is toxic. This is not healthy at all. I'm going to move past this, because I could keep going with this, and there's more points that I want to cover. And one of them is religion called it sin. And I want to talk about this. I want to cover this adrenaline versus integration. Like, I want to get into that in trades and transactions. And so this situation, this was just a classic cycle of abuse is what it was with him. And he kept disrespecting me. And finally, I forgave him right into my own grave. That's what happened. I forgave him right into my own demise, and it was awful. And not only did I have to heal from the broken relationship, I had to heal from my own inability to establish healthy boundaries. I had to look and accept that you allowed this. You wouldn't let him go. You wouldn't walk away. Why? Why didn't you walk away? Why didn't you let him go? Why did you keep forgiving him over and over again? He was a master weaver of words. He was a master weaver of, I'm so sorry. I swear to God, I'm never going to do this to you again. The breastfeeding. And then there's books written on this. And he was very narcissistic. And it's like, okay, this time it's going to be okay. This time it's going to be okay. And it never was, right until I was dumped and I flew to Sweden and I was a wreck. And it's one thing to break up an engagement because of other irreconcilable differences, but it's another thing to have to deal with your own damn shame that you should have let the sucker go, that it expired a long time ago and you just kept allowing it. And this is why I'm so passionate and so strong about these things. And I post in social media are blunt. The control thing I wrote on Tuesday was blunt. I'm blunt because I feel like I want to push through the dense energy and the darkness that has just put a, it's like the veil that they say, that we say, it's just lays so heavy over some people's yet lives. And I'm a pile driver. I'm a pile driver. I'm like the jackhammer that I'm going to dig through that stony ground to the broken heart. I want to break your heart open to see the truth so you can stop hurting yourself, so you can stop doing this, so you can stop being hurt by other people and stop hurting yourself and understand what real healthy love is, what it is that is self first. And that's not selfish. It's not arrogant. It's not prideful. There's nothing wrong with being confident in yourself. And all these things come in layers. They all come in phases and layers. So the Golden Bachelor. Oh God, with this now. So now after 20 years of The Bachelor, I think that actually came on 20 years ago. And then, then they made The Bachelorette. So then they made a show called The Bachelorette, where the Bachelor, now there's a single beautiful woman that all these men want. And they're all, and you have 30, I think it's 30. I'm just going to use the word 30. There's like 30 men now that are vying for the attention of this woman. And so they go on group dates whether it's the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, the one who is the contender, or I don't know if that's the right word. Whoever the male or female is, they'll take like 5 people on a group date, and then they pick, who they want to go on a one-on-one date. Who's going to get the rose? Will you accept this rose? It's nauseating. It's nauseating to even think that this is real. Could anybody imagine showing up on a television show, vying for the attention? Now, this Golden Bachelor, I'm going to skip this for a second. This Golden Bachelor, he's 70 years old. I think he's 70s. He's late 60s. I think he's 70. All these women are in their mid to late 60s. And they're mature in some way. They're mature on some level, in life. But they still have this very immature, unevolved view towards love. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on this program vying for the attention of this single man. Hey, Renee, how are you? I'm so glad you're here. I'm mid thought here, so have a listen, and I'm thrilled that you're here. Thank you for coming on. So he's from Indiana. Oh, okay. So Carrie knows about this. So are you watching the show, Carrie? It's on tonight. It's on Thursday nights. Do not watch this show. No, I'm going to tell you what. I actually have watched it, but I'm not watching it because I believe it or because I'm rooting for anybody. I'm watching it to analyze what's going on. I'm watching it for content. I'm watching it as an observer. I'm watching it to really see, to get into the psyche of all these people. It's staged. And I know that it's staged because I know people from Hollywood, and I know my ex-husband's brother was in the entertainment business, and he lived in Vegas his whole life, and he's been involved in reality television shows. And he told me, he's like, it's all staged, Dawn. All this stuff is staged. She was on a reality game show. It's all figured out before anything reality TV. It's all staged. And so there's a friend of mine in Facebook who is, I'm not going to say who they are. And they talk about, they're like a dating in the dating and relating genre. Since this Golden Bachelor has been on, they make posts regularly about the Golden Bachelor, and they will make statements. And I'm like, oh my goodness. To think that any of this is real is it's so hard to digest and to comprehend that anybody would think that this was really real. That would anybody here in this here, would you want to vie for a woman against 29 other men and hope that she's going to give you her attention, and vice versa? As a woman, would you want to vie for a man against 29 other women and hope that he's going to choose you? Oh my gosh. And then we're going to get me started on twin flames. Okay. That's a whole other thing. Twin flames and all of this. Twin flames, from my study and my experience of it, it's not a healthy thing. It's because of, and I read about this years ago, researched about it. The dynamic surrounding twin flames, from what I understand, and I'm not telling anybody what to do, but from what I understand is completely toxic. That it suggests that you're brought into each other's life to piss each other off and trigger each other so they can heal and do the work. Well, guess what? If that's the case, then I was engaged to a twin flame back in 2006. And guess what? That thing just fizzled out. The flame was, and let me tell you, that was like that relationship was like The Notebook. That's what that relationship was. It was a connection like I'd never had. And that's why I was so heartbroken. I was heartbroken on so many levels that I had to heal in so many ways. And the last healing piece was forgiving myself and me. That was really the most important part. So this Golden Bachelor stuff, I mean, that's the furthest thing from a divine union and a divine connection. Furthest thing. And then when a woman gets sent home, she doesn't get a rose. She's crying in the car in tears, and she's, oh my God, I love him so much. He told me he loved me. So where it's at now at the end of this, he has told 3 women he's in love with them. He's in love with all 3 women. Would you want a man telling 2 other women he's in love with them and you, and he's in love with all 3 of you, and he has to pick which one he loves more? This isn't healthy. This is the furthest thing from healthy. Would you want a woman having to choose between you and 2 other guys? Well, I love him, and him. I'm in love with all 3. And then it's the drama music in the background. And then it's him bending over, standing up, and he's bending over in tears. And this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Why would you put yourself in this kind of a situation? This isn't healthy, people. I know I'm kind of making fun of this. This is not healthy. This is toxic as fuck. And I just said that. And this is what millennials, the younger generation, is watching. The adults now demonstrate this. And then after this is Bachelor in Paradise. That's another damn ass stupid show that comes on. And people think this is real. Let's all meet on an island in our bikinis and boobs and no shirts and everything hanging out. We're just going to go make out over here with him under the palm tree. And then I'm going to go on a group date with him later on. It's not healthy. This isn't healthy love. So talking about media and entertainment and all this stuff, this is not even, it's in the least bit humorous. This is why we have people that don't understand healthy love. This is why we have people that cannot seem to find themselves and the real love within themselves, because they've been watching all of this. So now it's like, religion is just a part of it. So now we have to deconstruct from religion. And then we have to, why did we get involved in religion to begin with? Because there was a void, because there was a need, because there was something we needed, we wanted. And on some other level too, which was the main driver, is we have to be godly people because God is God and we have to serve God. So we have to. There was a have to. We have to. There was always a have to. And a lot of people were born in families that you have to. You have to go to church. You have to go to catechism. You have to go to Sunday school. You do the right thing and you go to church and you honor and worship God. And this is what you do. So this is how we were raised, that God is a have to. That love is a have to. Love is a you have to. It's a gotta. It's a right thing. That love becomes a right thing, not a flow thing, not a connected thing, not a sourced inner light thing. It's a have to thing. So we have to. So now I'm going to move into trades and transactions. So this is why we've got transactions now. Trades that, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You do this for me, I'll do this for you. And so there's like trades. And sometimes you do that. Like I have meaning in a healthy way. Sometimes you what is the word? You barter with friends. Like if you want, like me and David at first, we were having conversations and I was doing things for him. Like I promote jaded health. I've been promoting breaking the chains of dieting, stop dieting, start thing. And now jaded health from the beginning, because I do that as a massive gratitude for him. So I let people know. I want people to know who David Medansky is. I want people to read his material. I want people to know who he is. And I do that. He doesn't pay me for this. This is not a paid promotion. So in that case, like it's a trade-off that like we have that understanding in this friendship. But when it comes to like trades, there are marriages that trade. It's just a trade-off, that they have 2 separate, bank accounts, and that it's like, it's a transaction. It's a very cold kind of almost like an arranged marriage that some people have. What are those things called? Those legal documents where they prenuptial agreements. prenuptial agreement. If I have to sign my name on the dotted line in case we get divorced, I get none of your money. Like this is doomed from the beginning. Like I don't even understand that. Like a prenup. Okay. Like here's a contract just in case everything goes to shit. You get nothing. No. So Scooter Bean said, been there. The prenup? Which one? You never told me that. You're gonna have to tell me the dirt. Give me the dirt on that. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. Here, I'm always pointing here. I do this all the time. You're going to see it on the television show. I do it here. It's in here. It's in the heart body. This word that I finally developed and made up, it's in the heart body because, who knows what the heart, soul, and all this really is, but it's in here. This is our inner guidance. This is our source. This is God. This is universe, all, in one place of which there is no separation. And so transactions. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of transactions where there has not been like a real emotional, intimate connection in a relationship. And it really, I can't say that it applies to family. This is more like maybe marriages and boyfriend, girlfriend stuff, couples, partnerships, where they're together and you're doing for each other, but you're not really emotionally connecting. You're doing for each other and it's, I'm working, maybe you're staying home and you're taking care of the kids and it looks good on paper. It looks good on the surface, but there really isn't an emotional connection. And well, why does that matter as long as they're happy? Because a lot of these situations and a lot of these connections aren't happy. They're just living out this transaction based on, well, this is what you do. This is what you do. And I was involved in another relationship that came years later after this engagement that, that was a close relationship in certain terms. And he was very transactional oriented. He was very, obligation, Renee said. And so Dave said the transaction thing. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And the relationship is out of obligation. Like she just said, it's like, well, I have to do this for you because you do this. And so now it's this cold, stale transaction. And there isn't really like a loving, just this divine flow of this love to where there is this bliss flowing. And there is this, like, you love each other based on, soul to soul, to where you love each other based on what you've created together. You brought your happiness. They brought his or hers. And you're in this, connection where you really respect this person. You honor this person. You love being in their life. You love giving to them and vice versa. And it isn't like an attachment to where, there's all this chaos and this tumultual up and down, on, off, hot, cold, emotional roller. Remember, I did this. I don't know if I did this on Tuesday or maybe it was last Thursday. I was doing this, that healthy is more like this. You have some bumps. And if it's like this is where we're getting into. And this is what the relationship with that guy from Connecticut was. It was like this. And it was bliss for like 3 to 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And then bam. And then we go through the valley of the apologies and the I'm so sorry and all of this. And then it went back up to this. And then it came the flowers and the I'm sorry and sending me cards in the mail. And I'm going to make it up to you. And I'm going to take you out. We're going to have the ribeye dinner and go to Morton's Steakhouse in New York City and spend $400 and all these things. A lot of people are wired for things. They're wired for stuff. They're wired for the material world, the 3D world. They're not wired. They are wired. You have been wired to be emotionally intimate and self, in a self-love space and connected and aligned to your own self. We haven't been taught this. Largely, we have not been taught this. And so I'm looking at my talking points over here. So religion, let me mention this. So I want to talk about the adrenaline versus integration. So even what I'm saying here might be like the bombs going off, maybe, their lights coming on, the light bulbs going on, and the aha moment. And you're going to get it. You understand it. You agree with it, but it takes time to integrate this because I'm using this relationship as an example. Let me tell you the bird story. As an example, the beginning of the week, today's Thursday. So it wasn't yesterday. So what day was it? Yesterday was Wednesday. So I think it was Tuesday morning. I live on 6.5 acres here, and this is a bird sanctuary. And I used to talk about the bird sanctuary a lot in my Podbean podcast over there. And there's every bird here on this property, from woodpeckers, there's owls, there's hawks, there's crows, there's blue jays, there's cardinals, there's mourning doves, there's everything, chickadees, there's everything you can imagine. And this one little guy, and this is the third time this happened. I was somewhere. I was in the other room and I heard this thud, and I was like, oh no, please, not this morning. And I know what the thud is now. It usually means a bird hit the window. And one time, I'm not going to get into that whole thing, what it was. But so Tuesday morning, I went over to the door, and sure enough, it was a bird, and it was on its side. And it wasn't just sitting there. The first time it happened, the bird was sitting there and his wings were spread out. And he just sat there like he was traumatized. This time he was like sideways. And I was like, oh my God, is this bird dead? Like, I lost it. I lose my shit over this stuff. And I was in my bathroom, but I was getting ready to go take a shower. And in my bathroom, it was cold Tuesday morning. I opened the door and I went out there and I got on my knees with this bird. And I'm moving the leaves out of the way and stuff. And I was so upset. And I touched it, and as soon as I touched it a little bit, it popped over to its side. And then I'm stroking. I'm like, it's going to be okay. And it kept closing its eyes, kept closing his eyes. I'm like, no, not on my watch. You're not dying on my watch. I'm just not going to watch this right now. And I'm not going to see this. This is not going to happen. He was this little guy, and I have pictures. Maybe I'll make a Facebook post about it soon or something. I don't know. Kept closing his eyes. He was jarred. He was traumatized. And this, flying at full speed, bam, into the window. And I just kept gently stroking it with my finger. I'm like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And then I cup it and try to, they're out in the wild. And I'm thinking, oh, he's cold. My mother instinct, I've never had kids, was like kicking in. So he's sitting there. I call it a he. And started to move his head a little bit. I think he's going to be okay. So I took a video and I sent the video to a friend, dear friend. Pray for the bird. Please pray for the bird. He was okay. But guess what? That bird, okay, after trauma, after being disrespected, after encountering family issues, after encountering a divorce, after encountering a breakup, after encountering a fallout with a friend, this bird had to sit there for a very long time and collect itself. Just sit there and regroup. And he wasn't moving anytime soon. And for a bird like this to allow a human to hang around and keep touching him, and I was getting the sense, I'm very sensitive. I was getting the sense that he was receiving this and he was okay with me touching him. He didn't react. And I was out there for a while in my bathroom on the ground. So then when I noticed he was getting better, I turned around and I got in front of him and he looked up and I took a picture. of him. Eventually went to take a shower. I came back. Even after all of that, he was still out there sitting there. Like, wow, he's still collecting himself. Adrenalin, okay, of a realization of I was just traumatized, or I've just realized something. A truth has hit me. And sometimes truth will hit you like a ton of bricks. Sometimes truth is like hitting a blunt object or having this experience that this bird had. It takes a minute to sit there and let it digest. And I'm talking about two things at once, I think, which is it's okay. It takes a minute to heal and get over the trauma and to get over the impact of what happened. And then it takes a minute to process and digest the truth and the realization that you're having before you can take flight again, and you want to take flight into hopefully what is a transformative experience to where you are not the same. This bird will never be the same. I mean, maybe this bird's used to this. I don't really know if this bird's experienced this before, but who knows? I don't know what a bird is like flying, but once you learn something like this and you get over something and you really get it, you don't go back. You don't repeat it. That's transformation. Now you have transformed into this new revelation and this new thing, and it's become integrated to where you understand it. You have an understanding that's solid, that's grounded, and now you make different choices as a result of this going forward. Which, law of attraction has a way of, in the manifestation teaching, and I'm not going to mention teachers' names because some of this stuff drives me crazy. And they may, just sit around and manifest and just, this is, you just attract it. There's a process to this. Nobody teaches this process. I teach this process that you get the revelation and the understanding that first is almost like adrenaline. You get excited. You get excited from what has hit you, the aha moment that it creates, like an adrenaline. It gets your blood pumping. It's like exciting. You meditate on that. You think about it. You're still, your solitude, you pray, whatever it is that you do. And you work that into your new reality. It becomes your new reality to where you're pushing the old energy out and you're receiving that new download and that fresh understanding in until you've really gotten it and it becomes who you are. And as a result of that, that's where you make better decisions, better choices. And that's your manifestation. That's your manifestation. You start manifesting based on those new choices and those new decisions. Manifestation isn't just you get this, I'm going to manifest. I'm going to manifest $1 million. I'm going to manifest a new car. I'm going to manifest this. There's a heck of a lot. And somebody made a post yesterday. She doesn't talk about a lot of spiritual things. I think it was yesterday, about the magic and the secret and all this stuff. And she said, good luck. A lot of good luck that people seem to post that they have. There was a lot of hard work behind that good luck that caused that stuff to manifest and happen. And a lot of these teachers don't talk about the work. They don't talk about the steps, just like the pastors didn't. The pastors were on the pulpit. And the pastors would tell their miracle stories, and the teacher and the women and everybody in ministries would tell their stories about the miracles and all these things, but they wouldn't talk about how they got there. They wouldn't talk about what they had to change, what they had to realize, the work they had to do. They don't talk about all that. So you had a bunch of Christians walking around naming and claiming the blessing and receiving the abundance. And so now we're not in the church anymore. And now we're over here in the spiritualism. And now we've got manifestation and all of this law of attraction stuff that we have a mental clue of. And so now we're just going to name and claim things in a manifestation space. Why isn't it working? Because you have to make the shift has to be within. And it's always love. It's always alignment, because being in alignment is love space. You're aligned with love. Truth comes in. A light download, a light comes in. Right. You get a realization and an awareness of this truth, and then you walk it out and you apply it to, what was I doing? Why did this happen? And so now how do I get rid of that why, and how do I make this change now? Make this change. And that's the work. I mean, that's the work. And with social media, it's like all this. It's like, it's this. Oh, wow, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to go to TikTok now. No, I'm going to go to Instagram. Now I'm going to read this. I'm going to find that. Oh, that's really good. And people are addicted to this. They're addicted to the advice, and they're addicted to the memes and all the good things. And they're reading it. And it's like, oh, wow, that's really good. And then we got to go back the next day and read more stuff, because the greatest source and how to is within yourself. You come to a place, I think I said this on Tuesday, you come to a place where when you've run out all the methods, and you've run out all the rituals, and you've run out all the books, and you've run out all the teachers, and you've run out all the gurus here. And all of that, by the way, should be stepping stones. This was part of this conversation that was said yesterday, the interaction that was said yesterday. Stepping stones to this, stepping stones to your own alignment and your own groundedness. And the more you become grounded, the less you need another person's input. And it is a process. I mean, this doesn't happen overnight. It is a process. But get on the train. Take the train ride. Get on the ride. Don't. And I'm saying like don't. And I normally don't say don't, because don't is a command. Don't is do not do this. I highly recommend that you are wise with how long you hang around things without seeing how it resonates and sits within here, without developing this inner world, without really going inward and learning how to cultivate your own inner guidance. Let's see. Oh, messages retracted. Okay, I can't see them anymore, Renee. You can never do any wrong here in this place. Not that you did that because you thought it was wrong, but that's not. If you hang around here for any extended period of time, I'm very down to earth, and I'm very blunt and bold about things. But you're allowed to just be you in this place, so don't feel like you ever have to take something back. It's So that's the difference between adrenaline. Why do I have this tinfoil? Because there's gnats that get in my water. So I have to, I believe it or not, I have to cover, if it's not a closed container, I cover it. So gnats don't get in my drink. Let's see, what did she say? Well, it felt kind of out of context. Oh, okay. All good. So the difference between adrenaline versus integration. So here's the thing. Where I said the talking point, religion called it sin. When I was talking about Friends and the sitcom and the Golden Bachelor and how, taking these things in and it's almost like a suggestion to be careful what you watch on the regular basis, be careful what you listen to on a regular basis, because all this is getting into your subconscious, and then you make relational choices based on this unknowingly, and you love yourself, you love what, but it's like some of the cylinders aren't firing, and there's a reason for this, and we have to be conscious and aware of what we're really listening to, and it's not in a fear space. But this is what religion called sin. They called it sin. Don't listen to this, and don't go here, and don't do this, and don't go to the devil's dance floor, and don't drink alcohol, and don't smoke cigarettes, and don't do all these things. And they called it sin. And it's a sin before God. Instead of saying that, be wise unto what is good for your own self. Be wise unto what serves you. It was all about serving God all the time. God, God, God. What doesn't serve God? What does serve God? So we got to serve God. And they, you've heard me talk about this, where the church developed a codependent relationship with God. As long as we make God's happy, as long as God is happy, we tell God how great he is, and we praise God, and he's awesome and amazing. And then we should get our blessing for the day. We should be our daily bread. We should be okay. It's like, no, like for me, I still believe in God, and I still have a God consciousness. But it's way, way different. And it's way like, I feel loved and accepted and all those things. And it's way, way different. And if and the God that there is wants us to be happy, wants us to be connected, wants us to be blessed, wants us to be in alignment, wants us to prosper, wants us to be abundant. That's how I know Renee's, she's like, puke. Yeah, it is puke. Isn't it? It really is. I love your journey, by the way. So I really do. Like I have just, because I just want to say this, because she's here, and sometimes I haven't known always how to connect on your page, because I don't always fit in with, because I did this this detox of religion like back in 2008. Like, it's been a really long time, and I don't want to say the wrong thing because I don't want to offend people, but I love your journey, and I love how you think, and I see how you're thinking. I see what you're doing. I think it's awesome. And not that you need this isn't my approval, but I love you're doing this stuff right here. Like you're going beyond the grasping onto a spirituality, or grasping onto the ascension obsession, which I call it, or ascension syndrome. Like, you're not getting all wrapped up in this woo-woo space. And, there are woo-woo things in life, and there are synchronicities, and there are supernatural things. And I'm absolutely connected to all of that. I'm right there with it, but I don't make, that's not my new religion now. That's not the new thing that I'm attached to now. And people have gotten attached to this, that's all there is. It's the crystals, it's the sage, and you've heard me talk about all this. But so what was once called sin, it was condemnation, it was guilt, it was all that. And I think that, if the church had taught along some of these lines and this kind of stuff, I think it would have just really created an amazing love bombing community, where people just felt like where people were getting edified and encouraged, and people were ascending, instead of like talking about the ascended Jesus all the time, that we were meant to ascend, the Christ consciousness that we were meant to ascend. It would have been a whole different situation, but it became an organization, and we know that story. So healthy love is, it shows up in how you communicate. It shows up how you respond to things. It shows up how you relate to everyday situations. You could be by yourself at home and something goes wrong in the house, or you get a flat tire, or whatever it is. Healthy love, like how you're healthy, it's a relationship with yourself. Healthy love is a relationship with you. And the healthy, loving relationship you have with you is going to create a healthy life outside of you, in your home by yourself, or with your husband, with your wife, with your family, with your kids, on the job, in the grocery store, in the shopping mall. You're going to be spreading this. You're going to be spreading the love and light, and you're going to be connecting in this space from what you are in here. And this guy that I was engaged to didn't understand this. He didn't understand this healthy love. He was very controlling, and he wanted to nail me down. He wanted to nail, and this is what fear does. This is what narcissism does. And this is what control does. It's love upside down. It's not like, I believe that he loved me, but he didn't love himself. And it was all mixed up. And, fear and control comes in when you're afraid of losing. When there's needy energy, when you need something, when you have this need for this person, when you have this need to be, you very well might like someone's energy. You might like being around them, male or female. I always say that, friendship, whatever. But when it becomes to the extreme of where you're feeding off of someone's energy, and men do have a tendency to do this with women, because feminine energy is different than a man. And men have a tendency to want to latch onto a woman, and even in a friendship space, and I've experienced that before too. And because men have a lot of masculine energy, and men need that feminine side, the heart-centered alignment, coming into heart space. And a lot of times they attach to a woman to try to get that sense of, but you have to cultivate this as men. And I say this to all the gentlemen that are listening, is going within your own heart space, and allowing your own heart to be broken open to get into your emotions, become attached, connected to your emotions, and learn what this is, and learn about some men are naturally feeling. Some men are empaths already. Some men are already heart-based living. Some men are just naturally this way. A lot of men have been data and logic oriented. So it's all data, it's all logic, it's all information all the time, which is why a woman has a breakdown or she becomes emotionally upset. He doesn't know how to hold space. And friendship too, he doesn't know how to hold space for the woman in her emotions, because he doesn't understand his. So he thinks, oh, she's a psycho. The name's calling starts. You're a psycho. You're extreme. You're crazy. It's like, no, she's attached to her emotions, and she just needs a safe place to vent it out and to get it out. In a romantic relationship, that's the healthy balance between the masculine and the feminine, where a man can hold space for her, and understand that the emotional connection to herself is her power, and it's not a weakness, and it's not a weakness for you to hold space, and it doesn't make a man strong to be functioning in his super masculine data logic answer thing. So when a woman is emotional, she doesn't want answers. That's the last thing she wants, is for you to give her an answer and say, oh, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't want you to tell me anything. I don't want you to tell me anything. I want you to feel me. Feel me right now. Feel into this. Feel what I'm feeling. Just give me some understanding. So let's see. He needed you for, oh, absolutely. You're talking to he needed you for his security. Oh, absolutely. And yes. That's what happens. Yes, Jesus is that Christ consciousness. Absolutely. And that is what I credit the transformation to. Good comments. I appreciate your interaction. So yes, it's, healthy, a little bit of healthy relating between a man and a woman, a little bit there. It's not been totally around this. I might do another podcast on the divine masculine and the divine feminine. I did that probably it's 2 years ago now that I did that. I might do that again. I'm going over things here the topics might seem the same, but the content is completely different. I did a podcast on healthy love maybe way over a year ago, and it was called Healthy Love. And so here's this, but this is all new content. This is stuff a lot of things I really didn't talk about. And it's all different, and we're in a new place. And even if some things are repetitive, truth isn't linear, it's a spiral. And so we learn by hearing again and again. We do learn by repetition. We learn by that. So hence the adrenaline is, you don't just hear something once and it's not an instant breakthrough. It's a process. And then you finally get it. And it's like, bam, when the bam goes off in here and you feel settled and at peace with this, then, you've gotten something, you've gotten something when you're actually living it out. The biggest, I don't usually like to talk an opinion. This is my feeling. I think the biggest demonstration to someone being a healthy, loving person and knowing who they are and grounded in who they are is they can communicate and talk about anything. And they're not afraid to have conversations. They're not afraid of other people's opinions. And there's no competition, and there's none of that icky energy that you get from them. I think the biggest thing is being able to celebrate other people's lives from a genuine space. I think that is one of the biggest demonstrations and indicators of being a grounded person. Does that mean perfect? No. Grounded doesn't mean perfect. It means grounded. It means whole. It means you've gathered a significant sense of who you are and wholeness in life, that you can celebrate other people from a genuine space, and you're not jealous of where other people are going because you have your own life, you have your own sense of whatever it is you're creating, however it is you're living, whatever you're choosing to do, because it is a choice. You can celebrate other people, and you can really love and connect with them. And you don't avoid other people because you feel jealous, and you don't kind of need to, and we've all experienced insecurities at times. We've all experienced this. For myself, honestly, I think, the biggest insecurity for me sometimes is being seen on this YouTube space. And I just did a television program in Dallas. It's not even an insecurity. It's just, it's a little distracting to see myself now. And I don't want to be, I want to be heard more than seen. I've always wanted that. I've always wanted to be heard and understood more than viewed, so to speak. So that's weird. But I don't have a problem putting vulnerability out there. Vulnerability out there. I keep it real here in this place. That's what I try to do. So, yes. So I talked about the bird story, and I don't think there was anything else. I was going to use something else as an example of, referring to the bird story where trauma is concerned. So trauma, it takes time to recover from that. It takes time if you've been hurt and wounded. And, with this person, again, that I was like traumatized every 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going to take that word back, trauma, because trauma is like sudden death and car accidents and rape. I was wounded and hurt by this person every 6 to 8 weeks. And then it was, I'm not going to talk to you, and he's going to cry and apologize, and I'm going to take him back. And this went on for like a year and a half. And I kept rewounding. I kept allowing this rewounding. And then, like I said, that when it finally ended, it was to my demise. But every time, I would get to a good place where it's like, you know what, I think I can continue on with this. And then he would come around, and it was like all the outward stuff. It was all the talk. It was the romance. And I think in that moment, those were the things that I wanted. Like I wanted that. I wanted someone to spoil me. And he did. He spoiled me. He took me everywhere and spent all kinds of money on me and all this stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that can't be the thing. And there are tons of women right now that have sold their soul for a roof, a car, and a house. I'm an hour and 19 minutes. I might talk about this for a second. Listen to it in segments. I used to just stop at an hour and 15. That's usually doable for people in one sitting. That's the transactional relationships that women have settled. And I'm not saying that men don't do this, but women have settled for a marital situation because they didn't want to go it on their own. They didn't want to be by themselves. They didn't know, they didn't want to, they feel lonely in all this, living alone or being alone or having a roommate. And it's not what they want. They need to have a man in their life. They have this needy energy for a man and they want this. And so they have, sold out a part of their soul to be in a marriage that is not the flaming love that they want, the divine union that they would really want if they could have, if they had their druthers. That's what they really would want, but they need, they like the income and the security of a house and being taken care of. I'm single here. I take care of myself. I got divorced 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I got divorced. I never got remarried. I was engaged to this guy. And, it's not always easy. It's not always easy. And I want a man in my life. I absolutely want a divine union. I don't want to settle. I don't want someone taking care of me. I don't want all of his money. I don't want, romance is nice. I appreciate that. But it can't be about all this outward stuff. It's got to be this soul connection. And a lot of women have sold their soul for all the stuff because it's like, I have this home. It's hard for me to go be single. It is hard for me to take care of the kids that I have from a previous marriage and go get a job. And it's damn hard. Yeah, it's hard. But guess what? You have your soul intact. And if you really lean into and do this work, your life will be totally different. You won't feel like a part of you is cut off or dry or like you numb yourself. I know. I mean, there are women that, oh my God, I want to get into the bedroom that they numb themselves for this. They numb themselves for that kind of a situation. So let's see, to cut the video time in half or double speed it. Oh, fast. Yes, I'm single. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that about you, that you were single. I love your animals. Do you live on a farm, Renee? I'm always curious about that. Or do you have like farm? I live in farm country. Like I live on ancestry soil. My ancestors back in the late 1800s had 100-acre farm. So I'm like I don't live on a farm, but this is Hunterdon County, Newton, in the state of New Jersey is like the farm county of the state. A lot of farm. It looks kind of like this a little bit. So I know you're in a good space. I love it. I'm thrilled for you. So I think I'm going to stop right there. Healthy love. In here, listen to the playback, listen to the points. I hope you guys enjoyed this. You work on a farm. Okay. I understand. I love it. And you live in Canada. I know you're a Canadian. I don't know what kind of music you like. I've been a Rush fan my whole entire life. So their music is conscious. Let me just tell you, you don't listen to any rock and roll. Rush. Lyrics, oh my God. Limelight, living in the limelight, the whatever. I can't, for some reason, the lyrics escape me, but lyrics that were written in the 80s were conscious and we didn't even know it. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody for being here. I'm going to just stop right there on that note with Rush music. My name is Dawn Shale. You can find me at www.dawnshale.com. You can learn more there about how I coach and counsel clients. Do have a look at that and see what, look at the feedback tab and see what people have said about me. And if you feel that this podcast would benefit anybody, send them the link to this, let them know who I am. And if you or anybody that, any listeners that may not have been here in the live studio, if anybody needs some, some coaching, some healing, look me up. That's what I'm here for, because there's only so much I can do through this podcast. I try to, serve and give out as much as I can. But I work much better one-on-one, and I love to get to know you better through an intuitive call, which is, there's no charge for this. So reach out to me. I'd love to assist you. And let's see, it's Thursday. Well, have a great rest of your week. Like I said, share as you feel, inspired or nudged to do so. I appreciate it. It's good getting the word out there. Subscribe to my channel. Let other people know so they can subscribe. And I will be back next Tuesday. I have no idea what I'm talking about. You're going to have to tune in to find out, and have an amazing rest of your week and weekend. And I will talk at you soon. I love you guys dearly. And thank you for being here, and take care. live lit, live loved, and blissed, and take care of you. And I wish you every last bit of every amazing breakthrough that you need. Love you guys. Take care. Bye bye.